Welcome to the Stories That Sparkle. I'm Hella Rader, and today I sit down with Natalie, who shares with me about how she became a runner, like as in an actual runner, like runs marathons and so on and so forth. Anyway, how that helped her bring order into chaos and helped her embrace her body's strength. Yeah, so we discussed how to talk about our body image issues and how to talk about those differently. And we discussed Natalie's effort to pass on this new vocabulary to her daughter. So yeah, lots of good, fun stuff in here. And Natalie is just amazing. So I invite you to get comfortable, sit back, and listen in. I'm Hella Rader. With a good sense of humor, an open heart, and an open mind, I love to explore the very human complexities in others and in myself. That's why I created a space for women you have never heard of and could easily pass on the street to share in their own voices the intricacies of starting over in life, building community, inhabiting their bodies, and more. Welcome to our Disco Ball, the stories that sparkle. All right, well, welcome, Natalie. I was going to call you Nicole. What
Noodly or Nicole?
Noodly. Hey, Noodles.
Hey, Noodles. I like noodles.
Listen, your name is now Noodles. Okay, well, anyway. Oh, good grief. Hi, Natalie. Welcome.
Hello, Hella. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the sunroom. And hijinks already ensue because this is what happens when Natalie and I get together.
Yeah, it's a lot of giggles.
There's lots of giggling. There's lots of very fast talking. We cover a lot of ground. We cover all the things in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's a delight.
Yeah. Some may say we have ADHD.
Yeah, some may say that. That's right. That might be a thing people say.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, welcome.
Thank you.
It's really good to see you.
Good to see you.
Ah,
in this light.
yes.
You look good in this light.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's for the record, everyone, it's sunny today out there. But it's early enough in the day that the sun is sort of shining a light on the backyard, basically, illuminating things. Yes, it's a delight. Yeah. So in one of our many chit-chats, because we've covered truly a lot of ground and lots of topics in our Let's Have Coffee sessions. But one of the things we were talking about that I found so fascinating was that your journey of becoming a runner.
Yeah.
Like not a geographical locator kind of runner, which is the kind of runner I used to be.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't run. Like I don't sprint or do marathons, but I'll move.
Yes.
I'll just relocate.
Yes.
So that's how I run.
I'm running away.
I'm running away from everything, including myself. But yeah, okay. But you're an actual runner.
Yes.
So yeah, how did that happen?
Oh, my journey as a runner. I probably began my running journey back in 7th grade when I was a track star. No, I really wasn't a track star, but I did start running track in 7th grade. And actually, a funny story is I got kicked off the track team in 7th grade.
What?
And I was a sprinter. I was actually very fast. But a few friends, what were we, 13, 12, 13, 14, we decided it would be really fun to skip track practice one day and like go hang out with some boys. And we got in trouble. And it was the day of a track meet. And all 5 of us got kicked off the track team. And I thought, well, there ends my career with running.
And that's all she wrote about that.
And that's the end. That's how I became a runner and then stopped. No, I really started probably back when I was around 30. I started doing a couple of these like local 5Ks, really just for the benefit of staying in shape. I've always really liked going to the gym, but I signed up for a couple of these 5Ks with some friends, and they were fun, and I felt like I had accomplished something at the end. And that's me. Like if there was a beginning and there was an end, and, I placed a couple times for my age group and I thought, oh, this was fun. Well, I decided to stop doing that and go back into the gym. And then in 2021, when COVID hit, all the gyms were like, yeah, hi, we're closing. So I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I can't just stay in my house. I work in healthcare, and it was already a very stressful time for me, and I really needed an outlet. And I had a small child, a new husband, COVID was happening. I mean, it was really a wild time. And I thought, what can get me out of the house that's going to get my mind to stop from racing, literally and figuratively, and to just call me and just take me out of the reality of what is. COVID was disastrous in the fact that I work in healthcare, like I mentioned. I actually help run nursing homes, and it really hit us
wow.
hard. Yeah. And so
that would have been a ground zero situation.
It was definitely ground zero. And it was, it was not a fun time. And so I was trying to navigate that world. So I thought, when I would get home late in the evening from, whatever had happened that day, I really needed an outlet. And I used to read a lot. I still like to read, but I needed something to just get my body, physically out there. So I picked up running, and I lived in downtown Winchester at the time. And I was just like running up and down Stewart and Washington. Like, these are great downtown streets to run in.
Beautiful.
This is perfect town to run in. Very runnable town. So I would just go out there, and I would just throw on a pair of Nikes and run out there. Well, I started to get these like shin splints, and I didn't understand why my legs were hurting. I'm like, I'm in pretty good shape. So I started doing some research on running and realized that the coolest Nikes out there aren't considered really the best running shoes. So I started, to invest in, if I'm going to start picking up this running thing, let me go buy a pair of shoes that are going to help me and not have my legs hurting. So I went out and bought my first pair of like official running shoes and signed up for a turkey trot in November, and that's where it began almost 4 years ago. And I'm coming from my fourth year. I started running these races, and I had two girlfriends who were like, hey, we want to do this as well. And we just started doing these runs together. And I joined the Shenandoah Valley Runners Club, which is here local in Winchester, and got on the board there. And just because I wanted to I was really interested in the running world. And like, it was cool because at first I was a little hesitant in the fact that I thought maybe because I wasn't a quote unquote runner, or what I thought would be what an ideal runner is, which is like a very tall, thin, not very curvy person out there, just in this very lean, shape, and can wear like a sports bra and not two, like I sometimes have to.
Oh, right. I just need one sports bra, not two.
Yes. And I was like, I don't think that's, and that's what I thought. These beautiful like women and men out here, and I thought this was going to be a really snobby place for me, honestly. And It wasn't. And particularly here in Winchester, the Runners Club is made up of all types of people from all backgrounds and all shapes and sizes. And I thought, okay, these could be my people. And I signed up for this thing called the Winter Series. And it's a series of 8 runs that you run from December until March. And it's right in the winter. And it is, you have a run every other weekend. You have a race every other weekend in different locations throughout the valley. And I found my people. And after I completed that first year, I thought, oh, maybe I'll try a 10K, and then maybe I'll try a 10 miler, and maybe I'll go up to a half marathon. So I am now officially I've signed up for my 5th half marathon.
Wow.
Yes. Coming up in October in Las Vegas. So,
whoa.
Yeah.
So like in the last just almost 5 years, you're just a running fool.
I'm just a running fool. I have to run. I have to get out there. I run 3 days a week.
Because you get up like at the crack of dawn, right?
Very early. I usually hit the pavement by 5:30, whether it's winter or summer. I actually prefer to run in the winter, to be honest with you. But I get out on the pavement, and I'm out there. I now live in Berryville, so that's also a very runnable area, a small town. So I run the streets.
Right. So, because it's like, I think you were telling me like at 5 something in the morning.
5:30. Yeah, 5:30, 5:45. I have to be back home by 6:30 in the morning every time I run because
you're taking your daughter to school,
yes,
right?
Taking my daughter to school. My husband has to leave for work. It's a
hectic morning.
It's a very hectic morning, but I get that run in. Yeah.
Wow, I love this. So like, what I'm hearing is you have a lot going. You have a big job in healthcare, which you shepherded through a total disaster situation for healthcare. You have a daughter, a husband, and you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
I am so impressed by
Yeah.
this balancing you're doing.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels good. I feel I'm so all over the place. You know, I'm just constantly. I feel like I live a chaotic lifestyle, but I need the chaos in order to function. So if I don't have, because I have so many things going on, it causes me to organize it in my mind. Now, it may not look like a very organized process to people from the outside, but to me it is. I need that structure to me.
Right.
So I get up every day and I run from 5:45 to 6:30. I come home and I make sure that that I wake my daughter up, that my husband's up actually first gets his coffee and gets out the door, that the dog is fed and that she's walked around the block, and that, you know, my daughter is fed and dressed and taken to school. So I have to have these things in order for me to function properly, I feel. And the running really sets the tone for that, right? So I run 3 days a week. So the other 2 days I do, I have a gym workout, but for strength training. But the running is really what sets my tone. And being up, I feel like I've accomplished something. My mind is settled. It's calm. Because you're out there running for 45 minutes. You've thought about a lot of things. You've thought about how the day is going to go, and you're able to flesh out, you know, what my priority is when I get back to the house. So I didn't realize I was going to find all this when I started my running journey. And I also did not realize I would continue a running journey. I thought,
right, you're like, I'm doing this for like COVID times, or just here I'll just dibble dabble in this thing, but I'm not really. This is not forever.
No.
But now you're like, I guess it's sort of forever.
Yeah, this is forever. I have found it, and you know, I've always been very health conscious. So like working out and being healthy and that, like taking care of your body, has always been really important to me. And the reason is probably because, I mean, I grew up, you know, eating the same thing all 80s and 90s kids did, you know, processed foods and all of these things, you know, because we were all latchkey kids.
Yeah, Lucky Charms.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, that's a great breakfast.
It's a great cereal. I would never give my kid Lucky Charms now.
Right.
like
that is not happening.
It's not happening. But, you know, grew up doing that. We were kind of just like doing our own thing. And so as I grew into an adult, I thought, okay, I should probably change my eating habits. And then while I'm doing that, let me work on, you know, getting in shape. And because this is what I was given. I was born with this body, so I need to take care of this body, right? So, so it's important to me to have that. And I know that I will never be this, what I thought of was the perfect body shape for a runner, which was like this, you know, like I said, this lean person, very tall, very thin. Well, number one, I'm never going to be tall because, audience, I am 4'11" and 3/4. I am short.
Wait, you're 4'11"?
I'm technically 4'11".
3/4?
Yes, I am technically right under.
Were you
5
like,
feet.
dang it, dude, just one more quarter and I'd be 5?
I have lied on my license and said I have 5 foot.
Like I may have tweaked it. I may have added my mom was 5'3".
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember when I passed her in height.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was like a funny moment because, you know, she's my mom.
Yes. Oh, and Estelle's going to pass me in height. I know.
And I'm like looking down on her. It was really weird. I was like, this is a very odd situation for me as your daughter.
Yeah, that's going to be mine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow, but I didn't know it was 4'11" and 3/4.
3/4. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. I usually just round up, but that is my technical height. And so I'm short, I'm curvy, and I would not have what I would say is a runner's body. So so it's kind of funny. As I was doing, you know, going through this health journey and stuff, I thought, okay, I'm going to run and get into this shape, and I'm going to transform my body into this. And, you know, that was a silly thought. I really started focusing on just being strong is what it was.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So were you like, was being in your body always something you were able to do? Like, was that, because I asked because for most of my life, I felt I disconnected from my body. Partly by choice. Like I would make a deliberate conscious decision to separate my head from my body. like a split, basically, as a protective measure of safety. Wouldn't have articulated that at the time.
Right.
Like, oh, this, but it was a choice.
Right.
I do know that, but I don't know that I would have connected all those dots that I can now see.
Yeah.
So for me, getting out of my body was key, and like ignoring it was key. And I'm curious, like, did you always feel comfortable in your body? Was that like not a thing for you, or?
No, I did not. Because of, being short, being curvy, being top heavy, as far as my chest is concerned, I wasn't always comfortable. To be completely honest, I was always very uncomfortable in my body because I developed very early in life. I started my menstrual cycle when I was 10. I developed very early in middle school. I had, big boobs. It was a thing, and so so I was self-conscious about a lot of it, but not a lot of people probably would have noticed that. It was in my head because I presented confidently. And I've always done that. Like, I may feel some way, but you're never really going to know that I'm feeling that way. I have a really good job of masking that through my personality. And so I did that for years and probably still do it today to some extent. But I wasn't always comfortable. And it was very tough growing up, being, developing early in life, going through these changes so early, being that I was also I'm biracial. And so I had some identity things there as well. So there was a lot of things that I was trying to navigate at that, young adolescence, at that age.
Right.
And so what I did was I started thinking, okay, how can I use this to my advantage? Like, what am I so what I would do is I became a cheerleader. I became, how am I going to like use maybe it was thinking like, how am I going to use my body to like what, for what it is, so cheerleaders are small or can be, spunky and cheer, all this. So that was something I did. And, I always wore, when I was younger, I wore clothes that covered me for the most part, but I had big boobs. And so sometimes you can't always hide that. So I wouldn't wear big t-shirts or anything, but I would wear fitted things that just didn't show my cleavage.
Right.
So there was there was a way that I could still dress tastefully, but not like, because I wasn't necessarily embarrassed about my body. I just didn't really know how to like, what to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
So
no,
it's
that
like,
I get that.
Yeah, like, what do I do with these boobs? Like, what do I do with this, like, my thick thighs or my, my legs? So I started thinking, okay, how can I how can I dress to who I am, right? So I did a lot of research into that, tucking your shirts in and wearing belts with things.
Yeah, because it's a hard thing to talk about even with our friends.
Yeah. I feel like with my friends and I have a billion groups of friends, and each circle, we talk about it in a different way. And my friends I was always curvier than everybody else. And, when we would be sitting around and somebody's like, oh, I feel fat today, or, oh, blah, 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 or, oh, I could just wish I could get rid of this chub. I used to get really offended because I knew I was bigger than them. So I'm like, if they think that way about their body, what are they saying about me? Right.
Oh, right.
So I would think that. And this was early on, and I would sit there and they would say, oh, I'm feeling this. I just need to lose 10 more pounds. Oh, I only weigh, 115. I want to weigh 110. And I'm like, good Lord, that ain't me. So I thought, oh my gosh, they must think I'm like this giant elephant. And I would go into this but I never said it out loud for for a while. I just kind of kept it to myself until finally one day I thought, you know what? I am in control of what discussions I'm a part of. So how can I make these more productive? Right. Ooh. So I started thinking about that. So when friends would, and I was very careful because I have a few friends that have had eating disorders in the past, and I never wanted to to, incite any traumas or, bring back any of that, any PTSD or something from that. But I would say, let's talk about, I would just say, I really don't think we should use the words like fat or skinny to describe ourselves. Like, what are other things that we could say? Or, why, if you're feeling lethargic, or what have you done lately that's been, contributing to that? Are you out doing your walks still? Are you doing it? So I would navigate the conversation around, instead of being like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm having a fat day too. Like, because I don't like that. We never really, in my household, my mom didn't ever say, she never really talked about weight to me. But my sister, I recently had a conversation with her, and she had said that mom had commented on her weight a couple of times. And I don't recall that, because my mom never did, because I was always really tiny. I was actually very skinny, just with big boobs up until college. Right. And so I was like the size 0 with just these giant boobs for a long time. So my thing was navigating like the large chest, and the thighs.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Because, I mean, my mom definitely, and I know, now that had probably nothing to do with me. Yeah. And it's, so again, no aspersions on mom here. And, nonetheless, she would, she would notice, even when I was an adult, if she came to visit, she'd be like, oh, you gained some weight, and I'm like, okay, like, thanks. Nice to see you too.
Hello.
And I think that was, I don't know where that came from, but I just know that it sort of reinforced unintentionally.
Yeah, sure.
Some oh no, in me. Yeah. Right. And I mean, it's not like I talked to her about it or said anything to her about it. I just, that was my MO. Like, I'll just ignore that and take it in. I'll absorb this statement and, not say anything or redirect the conversation or anything like that. I'll just take it on as true or whatever. And no matter who said it, people could make throwaway comments. Didn't matter. I would be like, oh, like what you were saying, like, oh, well, if they're saying that about themselves or whatever, someone else, then what are they thinking about? Like this, like love handle situation.
Yeah. Did they think, oh gosh, Natalie's let herself go? Like, that's, and I would have these, but I thought, I can't. And then I started doing some reflection, right? Like, it wasn't about me. Why am I making this about me? It is not about me. Let them, right? Let them have maybe they need that moment. And what I need to do is be a supportive friend and not go against and say, oh, you're not fat, or, oh, all those things, but instead say, just make it more productive, right? Like, oh, well, let's talk about what you're doing to get some body movement in, or why do you feel that way? Those types of things, and just kind of turning the conversation. Because what I didn't want is for myself to go into this deep, dark place and then to bring it out at my home, because it's really important for me to let my daughter, who is 7, I want her to be very comfortable with her body, and I want her to not have these negative images or even these like, what we're seeing in the media, like this is supposed to be the epitome of what a perfect body is. I don't want her to think that. I want her to love everybody for everybody, So that's really what I thought. And and any of us can go down these holes of like thinking about like, oh, if I just lost 5 more pounds, maybe I'd be happy. But would I? Right. So
and I think about that a lot because, because of menopause, and really then also getting my thyroid out in 2023, that actually screwed up my hormones and my body's ability to metabolize and so on and so forth more than even menopause did or has. And so there's just parts of this belly situation that I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I give up in a good way. Yeah. Like it is what it is on some level. I do what I can to feel good, not so much to lose weight, but I will fall into that rabbit hole of like, oh no, I'm getting older and I'm got a belly and now I'm not attractive and, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it starts going, once it starts rolling, oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Like that train starts picking up steam.
All the momentum that just,
and I'm like, no,
Yep.
you
And
know,
then-
watching it leave the station. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I got it. What can I do to like,
derail it. Yeah.
What can I do to redirect it, pull the emergency brake, you know, whatever, because it is not a fun place to be in that headspace. But it's like, I'll fall into, like I was traveling in April and, you know, feeling like wearing shorts for the first time this season. And I was like, oh my thigh, you know, and I was having so much body image cray head going on in my mind. And it was so bizarro world. Like, what is happening here? It just comes in these waves.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm like, okay, what if I could just love my body where it is right now?
Correct.
This is where it wants to be. It might be holding some things that are protecting me. It might be some things I can let go of. And when I do, it will drop it off physically. You know, who knows? It could be a bunch of factors here.
Yes. That is, so really, as I started running more and working out more again, like in these past few years, I started thinking, oh, I'm going to be in this really awesome shape and I'm going to get really skinny. And I had those thoughts, like I'm going to be really skinny. Well, instead, what's funny is I get on the scale and I'm like, why am I a pound heavier? Or why am I 2 pounds? And I realize I am building a massive amount of muscle.
Yes.
My legs are, I was looking at them the other day. I had to take that picture of me golfing and I thought, my gosh, look at them legs. And I was so proud of and so what I started doing in the past few years is really embracing the strong parts of my body.
Ooh,
so
I like that. So instead of shaming them or calling them too big, like embracing their strength.
And so what I started, in the past 3 years, 4 years, since I started, I've gotten tattoos on my thighs, right? Which because my thighs were always like, oh gosh, they're huge. Like I'm never going to have the perfect, those women that stand there that their thighs don't touch. And I was like, oh, and of course, at a time, that was what I strived for, right? And I thought, no, these are thick, these are strong for a reason because they help carry me these miles that I'm running down the road. They're helping carry me up these hills that I am physically running up. They are helping, run through these rainstorms and this snow and the wind and whatever elements I'm out when I'm out there running. Like these legs are carrying me through that, right? And so I've got these thigh tats now because I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to accentuate this part of my body.
I love that.
You're
calling more attention to them.
I am.
I love that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Same thing with my love handles, my sides here. My obliques. I'm never going to have a six pack. I have just come to I'm not going to have a six pack. I'm not even really going to have a flat stomach. I had a baby. I carried a child. And so what I've done instead is I've also tatted the sides of my obliques, and I thought, wow, and they're cool. So like if people want to people are like, I want to see your tattoos. I'm pulling up my shirt and showing my tattoo.
Wow.
Right. So,
wow.
So these parts that I just, before I used to like just shame and think, oh gosh, I need to get those flat or skinny or whatever. I've just kind of embraced more as strength, and when I'm running, I think about I don't know which mile I'm on like fourth mile or something, 4 or 5 when I'm in that mid, before if I'm running a 10 mile. And I'm thinking about my legs as a machine, right? So I'm thinking about how the mechanics of how they're carrying me and what they do, and if they weren't in this good of shape, how they wouldn't be able to function at this rate or pace or whatever I'm doing. And so I think about that, my body as a machine sometimes, and then I think about fueling it. So on the flip side of all this, you think let's talk about the nutrition,
right?
So. About 8 years ago, I became a pescatarian. So I stopped eating land animals, is what I say.
Right.
I don't say meat because I still eat fish and seafood, but I stopped eating land animals. And I did that for digestive purposes and all of that. And so as I started my body started to feel better, right? So, but then I needed to pick up the protein because to be a runner, you have to have the proper, nourishment and fuel to run if you're putting in all these miles, right? So I started thinking about how to put in proper protein. Well, with protein, you need to encompass that with fiber and the right amount of fiber in your body. So that was a very hard balance for me, because after you've run 10 miles or a half marathon, all you want to do is come back and eat in-house a pizza, you know?
Oh yeah, or a burger. I'm thinking, I want to have a burger.
I'm just going to eat all the foods, right? And then I'm like miserable. I'm like, gosh, I just ran like all these miles and I've just like put it to, you know, and it's now gone to shit because I've eaten all these carbs. Well, that's not true. But what I wanted to do was do it correctly. I love food. I'm a huge foodie. Besides meat, there's not anything I won't try. But I found that as I'm trying to properly nourish my body and fuel it for these races or whatever I'm doing, I needed to find what worked, and I needed to find what made me feel good. And so when people are like, oh, I gave up carbs or bread. Well, no, I need the bread because I need the carbs because I need that. So I'm not going to, if I stopped eating bread, sure, I'd probably be 20 pounds lighter. But why would I do that? Right? Because I like bread. I love bread. I don't want to get rid of it. I had to give up dairy for the purposes of just like the way my body just doesn't digest dairy very well.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, cheese is gone, so I can't give up bread too, you know?
Right.
So
like, listen, everybody, there's only so many things I can give up. Well, but I think that's I had a different conversation with a woman named Coach Linda, who's a personal trainer. And we were talking about this because, in part because I've had a troubled history with food, body image, body dysmorphia, look in the mirror and all I see is this like marshmallow situation, right? Things like that over the years. It comes and goes. But so I have to be very careful about not making food the enemy.
Yes.
Right. So I'm like, like yesterday when I went to lunch, I'm like, do I have the salad or the burger? I'm like, I'm having the burger because I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Everybody calm down, or Hella calm down.
Like who's everybody?
I know, me. Basically everybody
Hella
in my head.
Hella and company.
Hella's many voices in her head. Okay, listen, voices in head, calm down, stop talking. We're having a burger.
Yeah,
we're having a burger.
Yes.
That's happening, and the fries.
Yes.
You know what? I'm having the burger and the fries.
Always the fries.
So, because I'm like, for the most part, I do a decent job of, eating well.
Yeah.
And all of those things and being mindful.
Yes.
So I've kind of landed on being mindful.
Yes.
And to your point, recognizing, my body's different from your body, from
Correct.
someone else's body, and how my body metabolizes or what it metabolizes is different than the next person. So, for me, X, Y, or Z foods are like a must.
Yes.
And other things are a problem.
Yeah.
And then there's always the things I'm like, I'm going to have that piece of chocolate. I don't care.
Yeah.
Doing it.
I'm going to eat it.
Watch me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, so to your point, like finding what your body needed and in what combinations, and okay, fine. I give up dairy because I have to, but I'm not giving up the bread.
Yeah, I'm not giving up the bread. I'm going to eat, whatever. I'm going to have the donut if I want to. I'm going to have the bagel, it doesn't have cream cheese on it, but I'll eat the bagel. So I started thinking about that and how what my body needed as a runner. And so I did need to uptake my carb intake. It went up. I had to figure out, how much protein to bring in and the fiber, and it's all these things. And I ended up, I'm eating like a lot of calories, right? And like, I need my 3 meals a day, and I like to bring in the 2 snacks if I can. I recently have a nutritionist now, and he's great. It's a male, which is very different for me because I usually am like, female, physicians for everything, which I'm all about that. But this guy, he works with athletes. He works with a lot of female athletes, a lot of runners. He's a runner. He's also a pescatarian. So he's got a lot of the similar things that I was looking for when I was looking for a nutritionist. And he has helped me figure out, what he's like, what do you like to eat? So it wasn't about elimination. It was about what do you like to eat? And then we'll figure out so if I said, oh, I love eating bread, he would say, okay, well, have you looked at this, Uncle Dave's bread? And is this, or whatever, I'm just giving an example.
Right.
Like, if you like this one's got all these seeds in it instead of having this, so it's like he did that instead of saying, oh, no, you can't eat bread, or, oh, no, you have to only have this diet bread, or I don't know, whatever. That's not what that's about. And he said don't focus on the calories. The calories is not the thing. What I want you to focus on is to make sure you have enough protein and fiber and carbs coming into your body. Because when you're out there running and you're sweating and you're my gosh, the amount of sodium that we lose. I just learned about this week. Like we lose so much. I mean, I knew obviously that like I was sweating a lot, but like the amount of sodium that our body still needs, like people think salt is so bad for you. And I had years of high blood pressure, so I get that. But like like when you're an athlete and you're sweating out, your body really does need this sodium. So bringing back the electrolytes and sodium back in your body. So we've talked about balancing that out and how sometimes he's like, come back and drink a glass of water with some lemon and a spoonful of table salt with it. Just these weird things, that we need because your body is, as it's working hard. Our bodies work so hard when they're working out.
Right.
And especially, if you're running or doing something that's exerting all that energy and you need to put that back in there. And if I'm not eating, I'm not going to be able to go out here and do a good run because my body is, what's it working off of? Right. There's nothing in there. So, so to circle this all back, like food, I love food. Food is important for us to just be. And because I love food, I want to find what works for my body while I can continue being, in this hobby of running that I'm doing.
Right. So how do you navigate that? Because you don't live alone. So,
No.
So how do you navigate that in terms of, you have a husband and a daughter who I'm assuming eat different. Do they eat differently from you?
Yeah.
So so you're like making different meals?
Oh, it's luckily I also love to cook and all my free time.
I know. I'm like she's amazing, y'all. Oh my gosh.
So it's funny. My husband will literally eat anything. Like he last night we had tofu Thai basil and he will eat tofu. He will, but he also the day before he'll eat a giant steak. He'll eat anything. So if it's made, he's going to eat it.
Right.
My daughter, however, is 7 years old and she is in her, chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese and, whatever phase, so, but she'll eat. So usually when I make dinner, she'll eat like portions of it. Like if I have rice, she'll eat the rice or a little bit of the vegetables or whatever I'm making. And then whatever, I have to make her a little bit of a separate thing.
Right.
Yeah, some people she's spoiled. She's an only child. That's just what it is. But I'd much rather get her food in her. And I don't want to go through the trauma of like reliving the trauma I had as a kid where it was like, you don't get up off this table until you eat. This is a really funny story.
I love this.
This is probably why I'm a vegetarian. I've decided. My mother, there's two things. My mom would make food and I grew up with a black mom and black women are very strong-headed and very, very strict when it comes to food specifically. And she would make dinner and she'd be like, you guys can't get up, right? So until you've eaten your food. Well, I have two stories. The first one was she made me try, I was probably 5 or 6, and she made me try liver.
Oh, yes. Oh, gross.
For those,
No, I had to do that too. The liver. German family. Yeah, liver was a thing.
I was like, what? And I threw up on the table. It was so gross. I was like,
you're like,
and maybe I had like hyped myself up, but I was like, why would you feed a 5 or 6 year old liver? I was like, just threw it back up. So that was the first time. The second that my mom, we single mom, so there was 3 girls, and she just would feed us she was a working mom, she was busy, so we had a lot of hot dogs, and we were in this house, and we would be in the dining room, my sisters and I, and my mom would give us our food, and I hated hot dogs. Like, I was like, this is the worst. Like, I don't know why people would even have these here. And so I would hide the hot dog behind the radiator in the dining room.
Oh my God, I love this.
So in the wintertime, the house would smell like this, like...
Oh my God, there's like a hot dog cooking in the background.
So
this is hysterical.
So my mom would be like, why does our house... Oh my God. So when we were...
That's a new one for me. I love this.
When we moved out, my mom was cleaning and she cleaned out all these hot dogs from the radiator. I thought she was going to kick my ass. She's
like, that's where the hot dog... Wait, what?
I thought you loved hot dogs. No, I hated them. I stuffed them behind the radiator.
So my version of that, because also in my home, it was like you can't finish your plate of food and you can't leave the dinner table until your plate's cleaned off, right? Well, I never liked green peas. Like, can't stand them. Like, just can't do it. Cannot do it. And of course, inevitably, always a green pea was a part of the thing, like a whole, and I would just get a whole like plunk, like this just mound of green peas on my plate. And I'm watching that like next to the mashed potatoes and whatever meat. And I'm like, I can't eat that. So like I was in a sit off with my parents because everybody finished and I was still sitting at the table and there was the mound of green peas, right? And I'm like, I'm not eating them. I'm just not doing it. And everybody got up and left, and my mom's done all the dishes, and I'm like, they're like, you can't get up until you finish the green pea, your plate, which is the green peas. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'll sit here all night. Watch me, y'all. I'm a defiant mofo. Okay. You cannot make me eat these green peas. And then at some point, like, I don't know, sometime later, probably 10 minutes, maybe. Okay. It felt like 3 hours. In my recollection, I was there for 3 hours, but it was probably more like 5 minutes, actually, not even 10. I'm like, wait, I know. So I stuffed the green peas into my cheeks like a hamster. And then I said, I'm done. They verified that my plate was empty, but before they could see my face, which was now clearly filled with green peas, I said, I gotta go pee. And I ran to the toilet
Just like,
and spit all the green peas and flushed them down the toilet. And I'm like, I'm sure they knew, because I'm sure they but maybe they were like, props for ingenuity, girl. Like, yeah, you found a way, and we can't argue with that. That's good moves. But so your hot dogs behind the radiator reminded me of my green peas in the cheeks,
the
hamster
toilet.
cheeks, and then spit them out. Or I would take a napkin and spit them in there and stuff the napkin in
Definitely
my pocket.
have done that. Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely had some weird food things.
I was always, weird food things growing up. And, just we ate a lot of also it's like we had processed foods, but then we also had like every Sunday it was like everything was made from scratch because mom was home, so it was just, I had such a combination of both things, which is probably why I do both things in my house.
Right. You're like, listen, we're doing a combo pack.
I'm like, Estelle, you can have some of this box macaroni and cheese, but I'm going to hand mix these mashed potatoes over here because I would never eat instant mashed potatoes, So there's like these things in
like
my...
the two sides of this, yeah. Well, but also, it's like, I'm just still like, you're taking care of you. I'm just really impressed by your, your focus and understanding, like, I'm going to take care of me as well as, right? And because that's hard to do. It's so tempting to take care of everybody else first and put me, that's certainly been my MO, put myself last and then run out of time and never really get to me.
So lived that life for many years, did that for a long time. And which is probably why I wasn't so consistent with the running, because I thought, I've got other things I need to take care of. And so did that for a long time. But when I discovered, running a few years ago and really just took to it and just, I'm not an elite runner. By the way, let me tell you all, audience, please. I am not elite. I am not running these 6, 7, nor 8 minute miles. I am more in the 9 to 11 minute mile, but I feel good about it. So, but I found it and thought, I really enjoy this. It's not, it doesn't take a lot of time. And it doesn't interfere really with what I've got going on at home or with work. Now, are there runcations that I do? I ran this international half marathon from Detroit into Canada, which was really awesome. And I went with a couple of girlfriends and did that for a long weekend. And so it did take it away from my family, but it wasn't like I was missing anything significant at my daughter's life as far as like a sports game or something like that, right? So it wasn't over a wedding anniversary or anything, or, somebody's birthday. So, I'm careful with how I plan that. But for the most part, this is something that I can do that does prioritize me, but it doesn't interfere with things. And And maybe that's why I was so careful with what I picked, or maybe it was just an subconscious decision on picking something like this. But I have, I'm able to get that done, take time for myself in the morning, and then take care of everybody else. And for years, it was, okay, I'll do everybody else, and then at the end of the day, if I have time, I'll work out. And that never works out, because by the end of the day, when you sit down, it's 8, 9 o'clock, and who wants to work out that late? Not me.
Right.
So it has been that. I also, when I go on work trips, this week I was gone for a work trip, and I found some time to run while on the trip. I found this beautiful, I was in the beautiful Southwest Virginia, and I was able to run on this back road, and it was nice just to take the time to do that.
See, that's where I'm running into so that's really interesting. I'm doing a lot more on the move, and I plan to be even more on the move and certainly for 4 weeks straight on the move. Because what I've done is I've built in my version is that if I take a walk every day, or at least unless it's like cray weather or whatever. So that's been my running. It's like I go, and it's just a half an hour, but I do it every day, at least once, right? And then I work out. But that's and that's a mental cleansing, like you were talking about earlier. Like when you're running that 45 minutes in the morning, it sort of clears your head. You can sort of ponder some things that maybe you don't have time to ponder when you're here, there, and everywhere getting stuff done, right? It's a real head clearing thing. But I notice when I'm traveling, it's really hard for me to maintain that consistency, to do it no matter where I am. So that's sort of my next challenge to myself is like, I think I need to find a way to maintain the consistency when I'm not at home.
You have to do that. That has been something, hotel gyms aren't my favorite, but I'll go down there for 30 minutes and get on that treadmill. It is important for me to have that wherever I am. When I go to the beach with my family, we leave for the beach in a couple weeks. Every single day I will be out every single morning while my family's still sleeping. I go out and I get up early and I run and I do my run, I do my loop, and then I go down to the beach and sit there for a little bit. And so that's my time. We as women, and like you were saying earlier, it's we take about care of everybody else and then we remember ourselves. We have got to take care of ourselves first. And I am I want my daughter to see that. And it's funny because I'll come home and she's like, Mom, look, I'm exercising. And she'll like run around, she does these loops, or she'll start doing some push-ups. She thinks exercise is important. She always talks about being healthy. And that's what I want. These are words I want to like really ingrain in her brain is like, health and wellness, health and wellness, health and wellness. Take care of yourself. It's good to have treats. Like we love, we have our treats, but like it's nice to take care of yourself. And last night, I had just gotten home from the trip and she was having a breakdown. She's been at this wilderness camp all week, so she is very tired in the evenings. And she was like breaking down, and I said, Estelle, let's take some deep breaths. And so like she's fine. So she sat and she closed her eyes and she did these 3, and she's 7. She did these 3 cleansing breaths. So like, and she knew that like that's a part of your mental health, right? So she's like, and I said, do you feel better? She said, yes, Mama, I feel better. So like these little things I'm trying to get in her brain now at this age, because I didn't have that. My gosh, I had to learn how to regulate my emotions by myself through life and like navigate, adolescence and having big boobs and starting my period and all these things, and had to say, oh, why, it's hormones. That's why I'm acting all crazy, And so with her, I'm trying to like get that in early. And so she can find her own outlets to, to regulate her emotions and, what she needs when she needs a break. And she'll say, she'll say to me, Mommy, I need a break. I'm going to go to my room for a little. So
just love watching, and hearing about things like that. Like, oh, I can pass on to her and talk about it early with her to help set her up. I can't protect her from all the things.
Right. We do. We have a lot of big discussions with her only being 7. We do have, because things are coming out earlier and earlier in school. So I am I don't want her to be completely surprised by like something that comes up. So like, especially with like the weight, we'll go back to that for a little bit. So my daughter is very thin. She's also 7, but she's just tiny. She's going to be tiny. That's, that's just her body build. But I don't ever want her to feel bad about that. Like this is the DNA she was dealt, right?
Right.
So I don't ever say you're too skinny. I don't ever say, mommy's fat. I don't ever say daddy's got a belly. We don't say those things in the house because I don't want that to be something that is, like you said, like in her brain where she's like, just already has this, it's just subconsciously in her head so that she thinks that going forward. Now, does she know those words? Sure, she knows what they all mean. But even if I say, oh my gosh, look at that fat little bird, she's like, Mom, we don't say that. That bird is not, I mean, she corrects me all the time. And I'm hoping by telling her this, that she can take that into her friend groups as they grow, and just saying, you're beautiful, embrace it. And so I'm trying to teach her those things early, those values, really early in life, because we didn't have that. It wasn't our parents' fault. It just, it wasn't in their cards. It wasn't in, my mom had me very young. She had me at 19. So we basically grew up together. So yeah, so that was different. She was probably just trying to navigate her young, adulthood as, as
I mean, yeah, because none of these are things that I could have articulated this way until, in my late 40s.
Right.
And I'm now in my early 50s. So this is like a late bloomer situation, you know, and I could talk a good talk for most of my life about not body shaming and so forth, while secretly having lots of shame around my body.
Just hating it,
and, scoping out the scene of like the bodies around me. So I could talk a good talk, but I was internally not feeling that way.
Yeah. And I just want her to have it, because I'm still, and I'm not fully comfortable. And by all means, don't get that twisted. I am like there are still a lot of things I am like unhappy with, or I have a bad day and I'm just like, oh, like if I was only this much thinner, or if I didn't have this, but it goes out of my head pretty quickly. I can talk myself back out of it.
Right.
And so, those thoughts, the intrusive thoughts come in. It's just,
right. It's what you do with, it's like, I can't control my first thought.
Right.
Like it's just going to pop in there, but I can do something about my second thought.
Correct.
Or what I do with my first thought.
Right.
Like, am I going to take that first thought and really invest in it and nourish it and
feed
it and add more thoughts to it? Or am I going to let it go?
Yeah.
And go, what's my second thought?
Yeah. Did I take a pause?
Yes.
Take a pause.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing with her. And I think, a part of just the health, wellness, mental health, all that stuff, taking care of ourselves, just having that in our house. And my husband, we're opposites, but he's funny because he loves who I am, but he's not the one, he's not out doing all these things, so he's, but he does embrace it, and he's always just kind of laughing about these things he hears me say, or whatever the case may be. And he supports it, but he's definitely not the hippy dippy person that I am when it comes to those things. He's like
whatever.
Yep. He's like, there's Natalie. Although he did buy me this really awesome runner's book for Christmas. And I was like, where did you found this book? And he's like, yeah, I do listen to you. So, I think when I'm talking to him about running, I think he's just like on his phone and not paying attention to me or whatever.
But you're like, oh no, he's listening.
I'm like, he's listening. He heard me say I had plantar fasciitis or whatever. So, so that's funny. But yeah, so we're really,
So I like it. You're so like at home, like in the home and with your daughter, and just in general, you're very mindful of the words that you're using or not using.
Yes. So when she hears them elsewhere, she knows that those are not nice words. And so she has also been vocal, to her young friends saying, you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't say that about each other or yourself or whatever. So yeah, and I want her to have that mindset going forward. And hopefully it'll seep through and something will come out of that. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I never consider myself a type A person, but I try to control what I can, as much as I can. And so even though I'm a caregiver and I want to take care of everybody, around me, and, I still wanted to have, somewhat of, the control of what the situation at hand was, so I've got these vulnerabilities about me as well, but I really needed to figure out, with what all the cards that had been given to me over my life, like what could I control and what could I put back into giving me the confidence I needed, or to put me, because I didn't want to be unsteady. I don't like having the thought of like what's coming next, like that fear of like not knowing, so that probably, and also I think growing up with a single mom, 3 girls with just our mom, she had a really tough time raising us. It was not easy at all. And so I think early on I saw that with her. So I wanted to, I kind of forced myself to grow up a little bit early too, because I wanted to be there and help her. I wanted to be more of like her helper as opposed to her daughter,
Right.
So
Right.
That came into effect a lot in my childhood and as I grew up. But yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what you do next, because you're just doing all the amazing things.
All the things.
Golfing, running, raising a beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
Loving yourself, caring for you, making the time for that. It's really inspiring.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and then I have a very demanding job. I mean,
Right. I mean, we didn't even touch on like power broker woman over here.
yeah, I have
I mean, you're a powerhouse
Yeah.
in all the ways.
it's fun. I need, they say, oh, give yourself time to just sit in the silence, and, soak it all in. And I think I do that when I'm driving from place. Yesterday I had a 4-hour drive back where I was, and I really just zoned out and thought about.
Yeah, I find driving very, like long distance driving, very meditative. Like a lot, I get to germinate on a lot of things. Actually, you're right.
Yeah. Like it's our windshield time. And sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I don't. But I just kind of like get in the zone, and so it's been fun.
Well, I'm really glad that we met, a year ago or something?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't even know. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
There was a brunch situation. We were both at it, and I was like, OMG, love this lady.
Yeah.
Insta friend.
It was an Insta friend. It was. That was, Gosh, it's only been
I
I
think
feel
it's
like
only
we've been
been-
friends for
I know.
so long.
It really has only been a year
Yeah.
that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's another lifetime somewhere.
There has to have been.
Probably possible.
There was a meeting of the souls.
Yes, but I mean, yeah. So yeah, it's only been a year.
Wow.
I know. Crazy.
And here I am in the sunroom.
I know. Here you are in the sunroom on a podcast, talking body image and running and all the things.
Who knew?
Who knew?
We got here.
We got here in the end. We all came full circle. Full circle.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Super appreciate it.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have either coffee or brunch very soon.
Yes.
Yes, I look forward to it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Thank you for listening to The Stories That Sparkle, a space I created for women to share in their own voices the intricacies of their stories. And thank you again to Natalie for being here with me today. Being around her always gets me jazzed up with all kinds of new ideas and fresh perspectives and excitement for what's possible. So yeah, I love being around her. Her energy is contagious. And since I know she has a bunch more very powerful stories to share, I will definitely have her back as a guest sometime in the future. And now for a small request. If you are enjoying The Stories That Sparkle, please take a minute and pass the podcast on to 2 friends. Just 2, that's it. Won't take long. All the links to all the things I'm doing are in the show notes, so check those out and come hang out. Subscribe to my Substack, hellarator.substack.com. That way you'll keep up with all the happenings for sure. And finally, if you have a story you want to tell or a topic you would like me to cover in a future episode of the podcast, please leave a comment or drop me a line at hellarator@substack.com. because together we bring light into dark places.